for Ginettas.
So that would make it a 15-car field. All 15 of them are Ginettas. 14
Correct.
are the GTA model, and one is the GT4 specification car.
That is correct. Bruce Bergeron, and the only GT4 Ginetta in the field.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what Henry Drury does from the front row. He has been spectacular coming through the field to pick up the race lead. We'll see how he does as the leader of the pack here, getting ready to go for the green flag in our penultimate race of the day. One more to go after this, and then we will put the 2026 edition of the Memorial Day Classic here at Lime Rock Park into the record books. Again, in case you did not hear earlier, the car show for tomorrow, the Royals Garage car show for tomorrow, has been postponed because of the continuing weather forecast calling for rain. So we're going to shelve that opportunity for now and hopefully bring it back later in the season.
Once again, we're going to do 2 pace laps once to allow these drivers who have not experienced the track in the wet. Here comes the field as they are making their way toward the starter's stand. No green just yet, and there it is. Henry Drury on the inside. Max Waithman just to his left as they work their way under the Chevrolet Bridge and into Big Bend. 2x2 racing. Much of the field here as they're working their way around. Waithman and Drury continue to battle. Looks like Waithman has the nose ahead at this point. Henry Drury in the second position. Jacob Deitch up into that third spot, I believe. Talon Laney in the 48 in fourth. William Ewald and Gray Rahalia as the top 6 as the field makes the run up the hill. Plunging down into the downhill turn and onto the front straightaway. Pretty good rooster tails being kicked up by these cars as the field tends to get a little wetter. Max Waithman in the lead with Henry Drury in second. Talon Laney recovers for third spot. Rahalia in fourth. Jacob Deitch in fifth as they come across the line. William Ewald, David Lecco, Eric Hagginson, John Rudolph, and Stephen Smith, your top 10. Waithman stretching his advantage now. Good battle for second between Drury and Laney, as they are nose to tail. Drury with the position. Laney peeks out. Now he's going to try to go around the outside, thinking there's going to be a little more grip around the outside of the big bend. Stay there. Oh, and Waithman has gone off grass on the outside of Big Bend. He's going to rejoin deep in the pack.
So now it is Laney leading, Drury second.
Greg Rahelia just behind them as the rain beginning to pick up again here on the Sam Posey straightaway. Jacob Deitch in the 5th spot. So Waithman will have some hustling to do to get back into contention for the lead, but it is Dallin Laney now at the point, I think for the first time this weekend. I think he's been right in the thick of the battle, but I believe this is the first laps that he's led. There's Laney, and then Drury, and then the 21 of Gray Rahelia, Jacob Deitch, and then Max Waithman comes by in 5th spot. Bit of a gap back to the 89 of David Lecco, still waiting on William Ewald. There he is across the line. Hogginson having a nice battle with Stephen Smith in the 33.
Since these cars do come from England, one would think they would be well suited to racing in these conditions.
Indeed.
Laney seems to be pulling away from Drury here.
Yeah, he's got good pace here.
Gray Regalia, as you mentioned, in 3rd, followed by Jacob Deitch.
Max Waithman a little quicker than the 2 cars in front of him. So Waithman should be able to close the gap. He's about 1.5 seconds behind Deitch.
In 6th position, we have David Lecco in the number 89, followed by William Ewald in the 20. Eric Hangenson in the number 11 is 8th. 9th to Stephen Smith in the 33. And John Rudolph in the number 99 will round out the top 10.
Eric Arms and Peter Rice having a nice battle for 12th and 13th. Just about 0.5 second separating those two. Bruce Bergeron in the lone GT4 car in the field has moved up 1 spot into 14th. Sean Armstrong bringing up the rear in the number 37. And here come the leaders as they're putting Armstrong a lap down. So Laney, Drury, and Rahelia, your top 3. Deitch and Waithman now 4th and 5th. Big gap back to David Lecco. So the top 5 still in close contention, about 5 seconds apart. Dallin Laney comes on to the Sam Posey straightaway and across the line. Henry Drury sets his personal best and closes it down to just about 1 second to Laney. Rahelia about another 1.5 seconds back in 3rd. Deitch about 1.2 seconds behind Rahelia, and then Waithman almost 3 seconds now. So Max Waithman not having the pace that he demonstrated earlier before his spin. Rahelia in the 21, closing on the back of Henry Drury in the battle for second as they come onto the front straightaway. Across the line. That was the 19 of Bruce Bergeron picking up another spot as John Rudolph has dropped to the back now. Sean Armstrong in 14th. So Bergeron up to 13th position. Battling with J. Peter Rice for 12th. We have a car coming into the pit lane. It is the 99 of John Rudolph, who dropped to the back. Crew member with the driver's side door open, chatting with Rudolph, trying to diagnose the problem. In these weather conditions, could be a fogged up windshield or something along those lines. Here comes Talon Laney across the line to complete race lap number 9.
He stretched his advantage over Henry Drury to 1.7 seconds.
Max Waithman has been passed by Jacob Deitch as well, so Waithman, after starting second and taking the early lead, has dropped back to 5th now.
Ray Regalia still shown in 3rd in the number 21. Jacob Deitch in the 63 now 4th. Max Waitman in the 92 5th. David Lecco in the 89 is 6th. 7th goes to William Ewald in the 20. Stephen Smith in the 33 8th. Eric Hangenson in the number 11 is 9th. And now Philip Hakeem into the top 10 for the first time in car number 47.
John Rudolph now rolling down the pit lane. We'll see if he's going to rejoin or head back to the paddock. It is the latter as he heads into the paddock. William Ewald and Stephen Smith having a nice battle.
Another
for
car
7th and
coming
8th.
on the pit road. I'm not sure if this is Bergeron.
It's the 37 of Sean Armstrong. So Rudolph and Armstrong, the last 2 cars running, and he is also headed back to the paddock, so that leaves 13 cars still running. Bruce Bergeron still at the tail of that group.
I think in these conditions, Bergeron finding the more powerful GT4 specification, Ginetta, more of a handful than the drivers with the cars that have a little bit less horsepower.
Exactly right. That is the case. Anytime you're on wet weather conditions, I don't believe these cars have traction control, so that'll be a little more difficult to deal with all of the extra torque from that V8 power plant. We've been following the battle between Ewald and Stephen Smith for 7th and 8th, and it has been a good one. And they are just ahead of the leaders. Talon Laney still at the point, with Drury now almost 2.5 seconds behind in second.
Laney steadily pulling away now from the driver who had been kind of the dominant factor in Ginetta competition. Drury picking up a win yesterday as well as one earlier today. But under these very wet conditions now, Henry Drury not quite able to match the pace of Talon Laney in the number 48.
Rohelia in the 21, Deitch in the 63, 3rd and 4th respectively. Waithman sets a personal best, and he is a little quicker than Jacob Deitch, but he's almost 2 seconds behind as we are 13 minutes into this race, so at about half distance. To the pit lane. It might be Bruce Bergeron in the orange number 19. He's back underway after a consultation with his crew. lone GT4 car. He's going to stay out to complete the race distance. Talon Laney continues to stretch his advantage now over Henry Drury. Gray Rahelia in the third spot. Both Drury and Rahelia set personal bests, but Drury virtually the same time as the leader Talon Laney, so that interval stays at just over 3 seconds first to second. Shout out to Eric Arms in the number 84, currently running in 12th position. Eric out of Roxborough, North Carolina. Laney clicks off another lap. Drury the same. Interval stays at about 3.5 seconds. Gray Rahelia still third. Jacob Deitch, however, sets a personal best at a 1:01.7 in the 63 car in fourth. He's about a second and a half behind Rahelia. Eric Hagginson and Philip Hakeem having a nice battle for 9th and 10th. They're only about 0.3 of a second apart in that battle. Hagginson setting his personal best on the last lap. Hakeem virtually identical lap time, maybe a 10th slower. Still with a big advantage over the 6th place runner, David Lecco in the 89, dropping back, but he's got company. As the 33 of Stephen Smith and William Ewald continue their battle. Hogginson just behind them. Philip Hakeem in the 47, right behind Hogginson, so that's a pretty good three-way battle. Ewald, Hogginson, and Hakeem. That's the 20, the 11, and the 47, respectively. Locked in a nice battle. The leaders putting another lap on Bruce Bergeron after his call to the pits. Waithman at the tail end of that 5-car train. Hogginson and Hakeem continue their battle. Hakeem diving to the inside as they head down toward Big Bend, but not able to complete that pass. Eric Hogginson in the number 11 out of Severna Park, Maryland. Philip Hakeem in the number 47 from Palm Harbor, Florida.
Three wide momentarily going down into turn number 1.
That's Waithman and the 21 of Gray Rahelia.
Some contact down there. I'm not sure who went off on the outside, but it looked as though they may have just briefly touched one another, Rahelia and Waithman.
There was a third car there that they were overtaking at the time.
And after the pass was completed, it looked as though they may have just had a slight side-to-side contact.
But it looks like everyone has been able to continue as no waving flags at the flag station. Bergeron back into the pit lane in the GT4 car. Philip Hakeem has moved up into 8th position now. William Ewald now 9th. Hogginson, who was up in that position, has dropped back to 10th. The three of them still very close together. Less than a second separates the three. '77 of R. Peter Rice running in 11th spot right now, mixed in with the cars in the top 5. David Lecco and Stephen Smith continue their battle for 6th and 7th. In the purple number 89, Smith in the white number 33.
I think they might be separated by a lap.
Yeah, but they're running together on the racetrack.
So Laney has lapped Smith, but not yet caught up to Lecco.
There you go. William Ewald and Eric Hogginson battling for 9th and 10th. Ewald just about 0.3 of a second in front across the line. Talon Laney working on race lap number 21 now, as we're into the 22nd minute of this race.
Lecco, I think, is a full lap ahead of Stephen Smith. As they came across the line, Lecco scored on lap 20 with the leader, while Smith came across in 7th position, but shown with 19 laps completed. So a full lap now separating the 6th and 7th place cars. Henry Drury just set his best lap of the race at 1 minute 1.916. Overall fast lap of the race right now to Max Waithman at 1 minute 1.219. So certainly not because the track is drying out.
Yeah, Waithman now closing down the interval back to Deitch. 1.5 seconds the interval between those two in the closing minutes of this race. Henry Drury also turning up the wick a bit as he's closed down on Talon Laney, the leader, It's under a second now after being a larger gap. Jacob Deitch in fourth now resets fast lap of the race with a 1:01.139. The top five getting a little closer together. Rahilya is about 6 seconds behind the lead duo, but Henry Drury doing what he has done so far this weekend, challenging for the overall lead here. Drury from Wesley Chapel, Florida. Here they come once again to complete race lap number 23. This time, Laney able to stretch it out just a bit, a couple tenths, just over 1 second, separating those two. Gray Rahilya and Jacob Deitch, though, having a good battle for third and fourth. About a quarter of a second separating those two. So some good battles at the front of the field here.
Deitch just set fast lap of the race, 1:01.139. It's interesting after racing through the rain for so long that these fast laps are coming at the end of the race. When I would have thought the track conditions actually would have been better near the start.
The lapped car number 47 in the midst of that group, Philip Hakeem, who is a lap down to the leaders, but between Talon Laney and Henry Drury.
Drury really threw it in going down into turn number one with a lapped car ahead of him. I thought he might take the more prudent path, but he showed no restraint at all as he dived down inside that car, trying to stay in touch with race leader Talon Laney in the 48.
Jacob Deitch getting around Gray Rahilya up into third spot now in the closing minutes, as we expect to see the white flag next time by for our leader, Talon Laney. At least he was the leader when he left our view. Comes Laney and Drury as they're working their way toward the start finish to see the white flag. 1 lap to go.
I don't think Drury is close enough to make a challenge as the race leaders, the first and second place cars, make their way through Big Bend for the final time, out onto the short chute heading towards the S's. Still about a 10-car length advantage for race leader Talon Laney in the number 48.
Rahilya turns his personal best, trying to run down Jacob Deitch and retake that third spot. Max Waithman only a second or so behind Rahilya, so as they're on the final lap here, there could be a change for the final podium position in the MPX class. As we watch Talon Laney looking for his first victory on the weekend. Down the hill he comes and onto the Zamposi straightaway. The checkered flags await. And it is Talon Laney taking the victory. Henry Drury has to settle for second in this race. Deitch in the 63 holds on to third spot. Gray Rahilya fourth. Max Waithman across the line in fifth position. David Lecco a lap down in sixth. Philip Hakeem seventh. Stephen Smith eighth. William Ewald ninth. And Eric Hogginson back to 10th at the end of the day. Actually, Hogginson makes the pass on the final lap to around Ewald to take ninth. Ewald back to 10th. Cube 3 Architecture is proud to serve as the exclusive architectural partner and title sponsor of the Trans Am TA2 National and Western Series. A nationally recognized design firm, Cube 3 is committed to shaping environments and supporting talent, both behind the build and behind the wheel. Driven by creativity, performance, and precision, their passion for design mirrors their passion for racing. Cube 3 Architecture, proud title sponsor of the 2026 Trans Am TA2 Series.
On America's greatest racetracks, developed in the Top Liner Lab, tested where it matters most. At every turn, every lap, every win. A protective coating engineered under extreme conditions, applied with precision, designed to last. For high-speed laps and for the people who keep America moving. Top Liner. Dealer opportunities nationwide. Inquire for your area at topliner.com.
Okay, so pretend this is your race car. It's on the trailer, and you have an accident. Ouch! At least your truck's insurance will pay for another one? Yeah, not so fast. Standard insurance won't replace your race car, whether it's in the trailer, in the paddock, in the garage, or the repair shop. But at Hagerty, we can protect it for what it's really worth anytime it's off the track. No matter what or where you race, offer less than a set of race tires. Hagerty, let's drive together.
And the 5-minute countdown's been given to the grid for our final race of the weekend. And here comes the field. We'll wait until we see how many cars we have before we introduce them to you. This will be scheduled as a two-wave start, but as we may have heard, there's only a single car in the second wave. Kind of the repeat of what we just saw in the Group 10 Ginetta race.
Travis Washe out again in the front-wheel drive Volkswagen GTI number 30. He was the winner of the race earlier today for this group of cars.
Patrick Shea on the pole in the number 9 Porsche Cayman. Washe in that Volkswagen. Then Stephen Smith in the number 14 Chevy Corvette Coupe, and Steve Yarborough in the number 76 1966 Corvette. And that is all, ladies and gentlemen. 4 cars in our final race of the weekend. Travis Washe should have little difficulty based on his performance in the race earlier today, as the rains had just begun at about 1 o'clock this afternoon when the Group 6 and 12A cars took to the track. Washe was able to distance himself with no difficulty from the rest of the field. The track perhaps a little wetter now than it was then, or about the same wetness, I'm guessing. But we'll see if the other drivers have made any adjustments and might be able to keep up with him. We're going to go around one more time behind the safety car. Again, 2 pace laps, the order of the day in these damp conditions. Steve Smith in the 5th generation Corvette Coupe, and Steve Yarborough in the 2nd generation Corvette. About 33 years of evolution between those two.
Skillman safety car bringing the field around, anticipating a green flag.
Into the pit lane as the front row of Patrick Shea and Travis Washe bring the field down to the attention of the starter. And then the 2 Corvettes as the green flag flies. Patrick Shea getting the jump. And Steve Yarborough's big block Corvette accelerating away from Steve Smith. Washe wasting no time, ducking right on the back of Patrick Shea's Porsche.
Through the twisty bits, the GTI trying to stay even with the Porsche.
And he is going to take the lead here in the left-hander, I believe. close pitched battle at the front right now. Wache out in front in the GTI. Patrick Shea in the Cayman, just behind. As they come onto the front straightaway. We'll see if the Porsche's got a little more straight line speed, but Wache definitely should have the advantage as they get into the twists and turns of this racetrack. Steve Yarborough thunders by in that second generation Corvette. Steve Smith in his backup car, his primary car, which he raced this morning, developed a problem at the end of the race, and it was popping and banging on its way around the track, and this one seems to be a little more well behaved. GTI of Travis Wache beginning to stretch his advantage now as he comes up the uphill, heading toward West Bend.
Travis Wache really giving a textbook study here in racing in the rain. Number 30 Volkswagen GTI again out in front of the thinned out field.
Wache out of North Kingston, Rhode Island. Patrick Shea in the number 9. We were just discussing amongst ourselves, Steve Yarborough in that C2 Corvette with narrower tires, probably better off in these wet track conditions than the C5 Corvette of Steve Smith with the wider rubber, rain, even if they are rain tires, doesn't cut through the water on the racetrack quite as easily. Meanwhile, Patrick Shea in the Porsche Cayman. In dry track conditions, probably would be the one to beat in this class, as we saw a number of those racing in the International GT. Steve Yarborough making his way down the downhill, gets onto the straight bit. He's able to open up that big block Corvette. Wache already opening up almost 13-second lead at the end of the fourth racing lap. Here he comes again, probably still stretching that advantage. Not quite as fast as his last lap, but still in the 112s. Patrick Shea in the Cayman in the 120s. Steve Yarborough in the C2 Corvette in the 127s. Steve Smith in the 131s. So no one is catching anyone at this point. Steve Smith tiptoeing his way down the downhill has already now been passed by Travis Wachet as he goes a lap down. Smith making a long haul up here from Galveston, Texas. One of the drivers, he and Steve Yarborough, both drivers that, if memory serves, have been with us for all of our SVRA meetings so far, starting the season at Sebring and then at Road Atlanta, at NOLA Motorsports Park, then last weekend at Road America, and then here at Lime Rock Park. Sounds like a great way to spend your summer, trailering to racetracks all around the country, some of the most famous racetracks that we've all watched on television, and to have the chance to race them in anger. It sounds like a dream way to retire if that's your plan. Shea now closing down on Steve Yarborough in the C2 Corvette, number 76. As they're in the Paul Newman straight right now. Wachet able to get by Yarborough, so now only two cars remain on the lead lap. Travis Wachet in the number 30 Volkswagen and Patrick Shea in the number 9 Cayman.
Travis Wachet just turned the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 12.145. That is a full 7 seconds faster than Patrick Shea's best lap.
Make that a 1:11.596 as he goes even quicker. Wachet getting a little squirrely as he enters the S's. Gets that car just a little bit sideways. Entrance to the Paul Newman straight. So he's pushing, no question. We remarked about this in the race earlier this morning, but Travis Wachet, a very unusual racing line down the downhill, just stays right in the middle of the racetrack. You know, normally under dry track conditions, you would clip the apex and drift out to the left edge of the track coming onto the straightaway, but he just takes it right down the middle. As he has put another lap on Steve Smith in the black number 14, fifth generation Corvette. From Wayland, Massachusetts, in that number 9 Porsche Cayman GT4 Club Sport. And as he did this morning, Travis is about to put the second place car a lap down to lap the field here.
Let's give a salute to those diehard Lime Rock fans who are still on the hillside, going to stay here to the very last lap. There are no fans anywhere in motorsports quite as loyal as you, so thank you for supporting our event this weekend. From the outfield portion of the racetrack, one person at least out there still, I think. So thank you as well. We hope the weather will improve as we make our way through the rest of the season schedule. Of course, SCCA New England Region Championships coming up here June 13th. NASCAR Trucks in the ARCA Menard Series July 10th and 11th. Radical Cup August 6th through the 8th. The always popular Grid Life Circuit Legends weekend August 21st to the 23rd. Historic Festival 44 occupying Labor Day weekend, and we will close the season out on October 23rd and 24th with MiataCon, celebrating all things connected to Mazda's popular two-seater. We hope that you'll stay in touch with us throughout the summer by visiting our worldwide website and following us on social media on our Facebook page.
Just about 15 minutes into this race, Travis Wachet alone on the lead lap. No positions in contention at this point. Wachet closing down on Steve Yarborough in the blue Corvette Roadster. Patrick Shea finding a little pace in the latter stages of this race. He sets his personal best at a 1:19.7. But that is some 9 seconds off the best lap time. I make that 10 seconds off the best lap time of Travis Wache. Wache resets fast lap of the race at a 1:09.545. Shea has caught the Corvette of Steve Yarborough, the number 76, in third spot. So Shea in the number 9 Porsche Cayman. Steve Yarborough closing down on Steve Smith as the pair of Steves in their Corvettes. And here comes Steve Yarborough. Corvette against Corvette. And Yarborough gets it done as he passes the number 14 of Steve Smith. There's the old saying about horses for courses, and Travis Wache certainly has the right horse for this course on this day in these conditions. So we're closing out this final race of the weekend. There'll be one more podium celebration. Eric Whitnable hosting our podium celebrations throughout the course of the weekend. Travis Wache will easily win the award for the largest margin of victory of any of our races here this weekend. Wache about to put the second place car yet another lap down as he is right on his tail as they enter turn one. And Wache sets another best lap of the race at a 109.089, so he might get into the 108s.
Should be approaching the conclusion of this race.
In the final minutes here. So far, haven't seen the white flag, but I would guess it's imminent. Treated the beautiful aerial images from the Racing America broadcast of this race from the drone. It's Lime Rock Park showing as a jewel here in the Berkshires. And the white flag is finally out for our final race of the day.
Travis Wache should be down the hill for the final time.
Under the bridge and into the downhill turn. On the way to the double checkered flags for our final race of the weekend. Kicking up a nice rooster tail of spray is Travis Wache in a dominant performance here. 3 laps ahead of the second place car, 4 laps ahead of the third place car, and 6 laps ahead of the fourth place car in this race. Travis Wache showing how it's done. Well, Greg, I must say it has been a distinct pleasure to be here for my first trip to Lime Rock Park. It's always great to work with you, my good friend. And Craig, nice to make your acquaintance. Thank you for all your help this weekend. It has been a distinct pleasure, and I can't wait for next year to do it all over again.
We'll look forward to following the Trans Am Series as it makes its way around the country, and we're happy to have you here. And as you said, we hope we'll be able to do this again in 2027, which will be Lime Rock Park's 70th anniversary, by the way.
So with that, we will say adieu to the lovely Amy Greenway, who is the lady who keeps the press room working here at Lime Rock Park. And we have some crew members here from Racing America who are packing up and getting ready to head out to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in 2 weeks' time. So with that, I will say my good nights. Greg, if you have any final words, I invite you to have them.
Thanks again for supporting this event, and whichever direction you are heading off in, we wish you safe travels.